Hi, Deb.
Jay, how are you doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah. One more day.
One more day.
Yeah, one more day. One more day in payroll. That's it.
Well, thankfully I'm not on an hourly situation. I think we would be into just like everybody else.
Yeah.
So we're it.
Yeah. And Bill's just arriving, so we can pull him in when we get to the American Relief. He's here to sort of just chime in on that with regard to water infrastructure, the American Relief Plan, and the COVID-19 for Jefferson County. That's 4 and 5 on new business. And I don't know if you saw, but Storm said he wouldn't be able to make it this evening.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I was reading an email he just sent, but they're all geared to Gmail, so that's why I was switching over.
Oh, right.
All right.
All right.
Want me to go?
Sure.
Here we go. Corporation of Harpers Ferry Budget and Finance Committee. Today is the final meeting of the year, or for this particular council. So in attendance is Jay Premack, Deb Kelly, and Nancy Case is out of town, and then myself, Christian Petroconis. It's June 29th, 2021, 5 p.m. I'll read a little bit of this. This is a regular meeting. Until further notice, Corporation of Harpers Ferry governing and deliberative bodies will hold its meetings and or hearings virtually via Zoom webinar, which provides for public participation during the public comment period when applicable and when posted on the agenda. Alternatively, the public may watch by YouTube, video, live stream, or listen by telephone. These options comply with the West Virginia Open Governmental Meetings Act.
That's good.
That's it.
Stop right there.
Good. I'm stopping right there. Approval of the agenda.
I move. Let's see. Do we want to consider moving anything based on our guests?
Those are big items, so open-ended. It's I think we'll get through the others pretty fast.
Okay. Well, then I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay, I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Jay, are you doing the minutes one more time?
Yes, I'm diligently taking my.
All right.
Awesome.
Because we got to find a new group. I have been told I will be back on board on this in this role for the next.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. All right, let's do some old business. Discussion and action regarding the selection of bids to repair the Pavilion Stone Grill. Guy Hammer, chair of the Historic Landmarks Commission, he's been doing this effort. And at this point, the two others that we had asked to bid declined to bid on repairs. So we're left with that one bid for the $3,000 bid that we had.
Okay.
Okay.
Has anyone seen any of the Masons' work, just to make sure that I'm not questioning?
I personally have not, Jay. That's a good one. Christy Huddle has used him. She told me that she was very good, very happy with his work. He said he has done other buildings in town over many years in Harpers Ferry.
Okay, I would just offer for consideration when this goes before the council that we make sure that the Masons, I mean, this isn't my trade, but I've learned a little bit, being considerate of the heritage of the materials, and the worst thing in the world is to, use the wrong mortar and the repointing, or if there's an opportunity to kind of confirm those things before they're done, that might be reasonable, given that no one's actually worked directly with this tradesman. So, anyway, That's my only
Yeah,
concern, is just voting to approve someone work for someone who I don't know and I haven't seen their work. But you guys have done the research, and it seems like a proper path forward. So with those caveats and concerns, I would not have any issue with this.
okay. So I'll do a motion here that I've written out already. I move that the Budget and Finance Committee recommend to Town Council that we accept the $3,000 bid from David Brittingham for repair of the pavilion stone grill. You can change that. Now, we originally approved up to $5K.
We did, but if he has confirmed that that's his number,
Yeah,
And that's what we use. Yep.
that's what we use. Okay, I will second.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
There's no discussion. I guess we already had it.
Yeah. Motion carries. All right. Now, I don't know when this is going to get on the agenda. I spoke with Greg Bond, Mayor-elect Greg Bond, and he indicated the next town council meeting, he wants a light town council, not with a heavy agenda. So I'm not sure whether this will be on the July agenda, though, but we'll get it on the next one, if not this July.
Well, we can certainly submit the request and then it will automatically go, until it gets on. So we should do that.
Yeah, hopefully, I really like to get this one on because David said he was willing to work in the July timeframe on this. So it'd be
Okay.
nice to have it ready for at least sometime this summer.
Okay. Well, yeah, I would recommend requesting this to be on the agenda with that in mind, that it's time sensitive.
Yes. Yeah. The second item, discussion and action, if necessary, adjustments of the fiscal year 2022 budget. And this is Deb's gonna take this.
Really quick, this is just a matter of reporting and just, letting you know where we are. We are coming down to touchdown on the runway with fiscal 21, very little turbulence involved. We should be on the high side on the income, a little bit low on the expenses. And so that's just perfect. And I did review that with Cox Holiday, and very little, didn't see any need to make an adjustment to that budget prior to tomorrow. For fiscal 22, we have two obligations in the month of July. One is the coal severance budget for July 15. Again, I did review this with Cox Holiday. There's no need for us to make a revision to that, so that will go as stand. By July 30th, we're required to make adjustments to the general fund that have to do with our carry forward numbers, and then any other adjustments that we have to present at that time. So,
Excuse me for a minute. I apologize. I'll be right back.
That's good to hear so far.
pretty routine, and just, I'm, this one will go quick. No action needed.
Like routine.
My apologies. I have contractors here who are doing.
Oh.
some- yeah.
Oh, believe me. Oh, jump. We know. A contractor, what's that? That's a rare breed. Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay. I apologize, Deb. You
All
were,
right, so basically Charlie will be here Tuesday, and we're going to start working on fiscal 22, pulling all that together so that we're prepared as soon as Budget and Finance formulates with the new council. We're probably going to need 1 or 2 meetings before the end of July to pull together this revision to be approved by town council at a special town council meeting in July before July 30, because it needs to be to the auditor's office then. Just a few things that are brewing is that the tree committee has suggested some additional funding may be available from the state. Christy has run a proposed request, a flagpole with them, which they are happy with. Some of what she's requesting not only has to do with what's in town, but also what's down at the water plant. And we do own the water plant property. And so it is within our purview to work on that under that grant. And I did go over that with Cox Holiday. They agree. And so that's with the, that just is going to require minor adjustment on our funding there, just probably no more than $500, which I think we can probably manage. And then there's some other things that you all know that are, coming forward. We will have to make some adjustments with the American Relief Plan and things like that, which we can talk about later. But so there'll be a handful of things in that July 30, and we're going to need to, with this new group, have a preliminary session about what the budget is, and then get into how we're going to adjust it. So that's pretty much where we are, and feel like we're on top of it, and we'll be moving forward soon, sooner than later.
All right.
All right.
Deb, when you eventually, you will be talking to the mayor soon, the new mayor, make sure you tell him about that special meeting. So
I will.
he's
Yep.
aware.
Mhm. Yep, I'll be sure to do that this week, so he's gotten into that.
Let
Yep.
you do it, not me.
Sure, no problem. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, next item, new business, okay? Discussion action regarding the annual funding of the Jefferson County Jefferson County Historic Landmarks Commission. This item was brought before the town council last month. We had, I forgot the gentleman's name, but he requested this. He's the chair of the Historic Landmarks Commission for Jefferson County, and he had asked our town council for a funding request of $1,500 per year. And so the town council, our town council, in the notes I see, made a motion to take that back to the Budget and Finance Committee for our recommendation.
So that's landmarks right now. We have $2,000 in the fiscal 22 budget that had to do with having someone to work on the Dan Riss archives.
Right.
So there's already $2,000 there. So that's something that could be presented as an adjustment to the fiscal 22 budget that can be included in what we carry forward in July 30, if you want to do that. And I think that's where it would go, unless you have another recommendation.
Well, I do want to support the commission. They're the county,
Mhm.
and I think the more things we do to help each other is well, especially when we help them a little bit. Like for instance, our funding with the MARC train, it put us in the proper limelight. I think in a positive manner for our town, and so I'm a supporter of helping. I mean, being a player. I'm sure they've asked all the other towns to contribute as well.
Yes. I'm just double checking while we're reviewing this to see if there's any other place that's better appropriate than.
I would like to keep the 2,000, but if we can, because that Dan Riss file definitely needs to be looked at. Our volunteer that we had for that has fallen through, so now we're gonna probably have to hire somebody.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So go ahead.
Oh, I remember this. I think this has been probably at least a couple of months, if not longer, since we.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it's actually maybe back in the fall.
Oh, this one?
I mean, it's been a while.
I took it off. That would.
Maybe my memory in terms of time is.
Well, the meeting ended at 9:40, and that's right. This was the last item. It's one of those long evenings.
Yeah.
Now, the only other thing, well, I don't want to muddy the water. It is historic landmarks, and I was almost thinking about it as arts and humanities because it's historic preservation. But I'm going to need to research that more. I'm sorry, just to make sure. And we don't know what they're going to do with it, so maybe that's not a good idea. Forgive me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, is there any reason that we don't want to approve this?
No, I was just looking for the budget line item.
Okay.
And I think we put it in landmarks.
Yeah, it's appropriately sized for our town. It's not too much. And I know someday I've heard in the past they've supported us on some things that were well beyond the monies we've supplied here. I don't know what projects it was, but I think someday it will come back benefit now.
Well, hopefully they'll meet their fundraising goals, because if they don't, I'm not sure that they're going to be able to do what they want to do.
Yeah, they won 100,000.
So I suppose we'll just be able to see how they do and then determine if a continuing contribution makes sense based on their success.
Alright, so I would say we take it, put it in, landmarks.
What's the line item?
Add it to landmarks, yep, I'm coming to that. I had it right in front of me,
Thank you, Deb.
now I lost it. Yes. Alright. Sorry. So it comes from historical commission. That's where landmarks money sits. And I'll give you the number in 1 sec. Sorry, I was having trouble finding it because it's not. We call it landmarks, they call it historical commission.
And I think the reason it got kicked back by town council is they just wanted us to find the source of funds. They didn't appear
Right.
any negativity at the meeting.
And honestly, you know what, this is really something that will go into the budget that we revise, and then it'll get approved by council at the end of the month. So,
Oh,
yeah, I mean, we're basically in this meeting just kind of recommending to the next budget and finance to include it in the FY22 revision that we make.
So we don't need to take action.
I don't think we
just-
really need to, no, it will be 9/11. Would be the number, and I would just say that, you know, we can just put in the minutes that, you know, we reviewed it, it's been recommended back from council, and so we should put it into the revision if it fits.
I'd like to do that rather than take it from the Dan Risk file, doing those files. It's really important to have that.
Yeah, look at it, we add it, we're gonna see if we can add it.
Okay, add it would be really, really good.
Yeah.
All right, so no action.
No
Right.
action.
All right, should we go on to new business too?
Yep, keep on going. Here we go. Okay, so now we have 2 music events, but we'll talk about the first one, discussion action regarding the funding of the Harpers Ferry Summer Music 2021. This is a venue. It looks like it's would have started in the middle of June and go through the end of the summer. I don't know if you saw that funding request, Jay.
I have, how many times are they to play?
They're supposed to play 2 hours, 12 2-hour sets from like, well, now they missed June 16th. And it's kind of, this is a little unusual request in the sense that it didn't come through Parks and Recreation. This is coming like straight out from the, well, Midge Yost brought it, this funding request. So the problem I see is the lack of accountability. I mean, who's going to check on all this? I mean, usually when we have music events, they're usually focused on a day or two, and they're people invited and all. This is kind of an open thing. Not even quite sure where they're going to be.
Yeah, I remember hearing this come up, and then some questions about what is the sort of typical rate.
Right, Nancy brought that up. Yes.
That was in our last meeting, and so I think, I don't know, I'm
Well, actually, it didn't come up in the
Because
meeting. I think she was doing research.
Well, the request specifically mentions that this won't be promoted to avoid large crowds gathering. But if we're going to be, I think, using arts and humanities money, then we want to be encouraging tourism and having a return on that investment. Because you're going to be appealing to people who are already here. It will not be a draw. It'll be impromptu. I think this needs more information, like a presentation. And also, are there other musicians? This is one. I don't question the talent of the musicians. I've heard them play.
Yeah, they're Harpers Ferry musicians, local.
Right. But it feels, I don't know.
I kind of agree with you, Jay. Maybe this could be pushed back to Parks and Recreation and let them look at it and formalize it more so that.
I agree. I think this should go to Parks and Rec.
Okay.
So what we're looking for is something that explains the goals and the objectives. Because to spend $6,000 or invest or whatever, spend $6,000, I think that it's incumbent upon budget and finance to ask questions of, other than there being money that's set aside for this stuff, what is to be accomplished with this? And it may not, I don't know. I the Parks and Rec.
Okay. Deb, you think we need to make a motion on this, or is this?
I don't think we need a motion.
I don't think we really need a motion. We'll just, if we can just somehow, between you and I together, we can send it over to Parks and Recs and ask them to provide a little more structure and definition as to what they're doing, I think, and then they can bring it back to us.
Yeah, and probably revise numbers because we missed that request came to us literally the day before the day of our last meeting. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, this could go. There's no reason why this couldn't go on into the fall. I mean, if it works out, maybe. So there's a lot of things, but yeah, I think we just need to get it over to Parks and Rec.
Yep. Okay. All right. Next, let's see. The other one is discussion action regarding the funding of the Appalachian Chamber Music Festival. This is an event that I assume it's never been done before here. 3 performances at the St. Peter's Chapel in Harpers Ferry. There'll be a couple dates. This is to pay the musicians. Yeah, it's August 20th and 21st. Is to pay the musicians directly. I don't know what your thoughts on that are, Jay.
I wish that
it has more structure around it.
Well, I wish that we were able to invite the requester to kind of give some context.
I should have done that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I just don't know if they're going, the same question was just, brought up for the other request, which is, will this be advertised? Is this going to help draw more people here? As I think arts and humanities resources, one of the important things to do with them is to help draw more people to the town, to help make people aware of it, bring them here so they can enjoy it, and also to stimulate economic development in the community for local businesses.
You're absolutely right, Jay. I think both of these are funding requests for funding, and we usually do them at the beginning of fiscal year, and we actually talk to all of the people that are requesting the funds. So yeah, you're correct. We didn't get that background, which is important.
Well, we do have, we do have additional monies in arts and humanities, and it doesn't mean that you're right. The structure, we typically like to get this in over the winter so we can do our planning. But because we do have additional monies doesn't mean that we couldn't approve this. And we are going to have 1 or 2 budget and finance meetings in July, and then again, we could potentially roll this into our fiscal 22 revision that gets approved at the end of July. This event doesn't take place until the 20th or 21st. So we might want to consider having Ms. Turtle come to talk to the next budget and finance meeting briefly, and or kick it to Parks and Rec and vet it that way. So those are two options maybe.
I don't want to get rid of it.
Belongs in, it's hard to tell. I mean, this is a request that's external. It's like the library. That doesn't go to Parks and Rec. Whereas the request for something that's done in Harpers Ferry by Harpers Ferry, that's not an external request, it feels like that goes with Parks and Rec. I think we should be able to ask the requester to give some more information so that we can ask some questions, which is what we do with all of them. So,
Okay, we'll do that for the new Budget and Finance Committee. And I'll make sure that that person will be available.
Something that would be good for this form. It's got, name, address, email address, description of event. Where we've got sort of purpose of project, it might be good to include like, what are the measurable outcomes or objectives? I think that would be a really nice thing, so that we're encouraging folks to communicate or think about what it is they're attempting to accomplish. If it's to, they've said it to bring music to new audiences in meaningful, accessible ways. So if the objective is to reach those people, then the questions would be, how do you plan to promote so that you get the people there? Or do you have a demonstrated existing, following, whatever, those are.
Yeah, no, you're right. We need it. I think maybe having that line there will provoke people to start thinking that way. If nothing else, ask questions about what it means, and so that we can get that dialogue going, because that is missing from our requests that come in over the winter too. So yeah.
We don't want to come across as the grumpy person who doesn't want to do anything, because I just think that our job of the Budget and Finance Committee is just to ask those tough questions and make sure that we're being responsible with the resources. And since most of us are volunteer,
Yeah, you're right. We need that. And people don't, when they're putting stuff together, they don't always think about how they're going to promote it. And that's often coming from the printing world, it's the last thing that happens. So it's good to have the planning in the beginning.
So discussion and no action. Can we move on to number 4? Chairman?
I'm gonna go ahead and bring Bill into the panelist area here. Go ahead.
I'll introduce it, and then we'll start going into it. Discussion action regarding the American Relief Plan to fund Harpers Ferry infrastructure needs. And Deb has gotten some information that she sent us from the Federal Register.
Right. So this is the American Relief Plan that is being funded through the state at the outset, but it is federal money. And it is the plan that provides to us mostly based on our population, but somewhat based on our budgets, how much money we get. So we don't ask for it, it comes to us, and then there are certain ways that we are eligible to use it. And so the document that I sent to you describes those ways that we are allowed to use it, which primarily are involved with COVID-related expenses or reparations from the COVID experience. And if those don't apply, then water, sewer, and internet infrastructure. And so I seeing those things and having reviewed them, unless I missed something, it seemed to me that the most viable for us would be to look at our water infrastructure. And so I sent Bill the document there, and to take a look at that and perhaps provide us some information about that. You know, as you know, the infrastructure half of the water project was not approved through the USDA funding, so we need to come up with that funding from somewhere else. So this might be an option for some of that work. And the only other piece before I relinquish the floor is that before we come off of this, we should make a recommendation to council to create a new bank account and a new fund for tracking and holding this money that comes to us. It needs to be completely separate and not commingled with any other bank accounts or funds.
Can I make a comment?
Sorry.
It's my expectation and hope that I believe the next council is really going to be on the ball about funding and infrastructure in Harper's Ferry. And I don't know if anyone's been in touch with Bill, but I imagine there will be some conversations because there's so much overlap in terms of the larger infrastructure sort of picture of Harper's Ferry, and the analysis is going to be done to figure out how to chase down and get these monies. And I know the topic is about water here, but I think it will hopefully fit into a larger context of infrastructure improvements, including streets, runoff, drainage, all that stuff.
Oh, we got a big list. Yes.
Right. I'm just connecting some dots. Maybe it's me in my own head doing this here, but if you haven't been in touch with well, at some point, once this group is approved with the next council, hopefully you'll be able to participate or find some support.
Nick, Deb, when you were talking about a separate bank account, is this separate from the money that we already are earmarked for 120,000? You're talking about
No, I think that this is that money. I mean, this is money that we don't go and say we'd like this money. They're sending it to us. I mean, I filled out the application and sent it in. The deadline was Sunday, so got it in there, and then they're going to review our budget. And we are assigned an amount of money based on our population and or our budget up to a certain cap, certain percentage of our budget. So I also sent the water budget because we own that entity and that's part of our lifeline there. And my understanding is that beginning July 1, they're going to start reviewing all of the applications that have been submitted to the state and then sending us the money, and we'll get a pocket of money in this year and we'll get a pocket of money next year. And I don't know what the number is. I've heard 120,000, I've heard 60 and 60. I've not seen a number, but it's coming to us. And then what I sent you is how we're allowed to use it. Then there's also the next item on the agenda, which is money coming through the county commission, which seems more of an ask. You go and say, these are things that we'd like. And then later down the road, we find out if we get them. So it's kind of a two-pronged thing, which all has to do with this federal money coming to us.
Yes.
Which would seem like if we could work, we probably need to work together to understand where it's all going to come from and how we can use it as a whole. But they are two separate projects.
Right. I know that the act here on this particular item, the American Relief Plan, focuses on two things. That's the water and the other is broadband. So the water, from what I understand, we're not going to be able to submit on the plant itself that we've already started.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. That's
but
right.
we can on the distribution system.
Well,
Right.
yes, there are aspects of the plant project that we can. One of the things that we haven't really addressed within the group of people that are running the plant project is exactly what level of cybersecurity infrastructure we're going to have for the plant, and that's something that they spend way more time in the Federal Register piece than I would have expected.
Yeah.
That's probably driven by the Oldsmar and the Leeds hacks. But and I've spent most of my career reading the Federal Register, and they that stuff, all these things get vetted. There's not a lot of extra words in here, so if they're going to talk about it, somebody on the committee that put this together thought it was a big deal. But no, you're correct in the big picture. The monies that we've already, you know, that we're indebted, that we've gone into debt for, that we've accepted the responsibility to pay back, those we cannot use the money for. But the entire distribution project is a viable project for that. And based on the Federal Register and the Section 1452 of the Clean Water, Safe Drinking Water Act, which it refers to as far as what projects are permissible, all of our stuff falls neatly within that. And I read the whole thing. There are a lot of other non-infrastructure things that you can do with this money, most of which it's hard to see how we would administer. You know, there's a lot of little, the way ARPA works, as opposed to what we have to talk to the Jefferson County for, is that they send out the list of, these are all the things that you're allowed to do with this. You don't have to justify your use. You don't have to seek permission. They send you the money, you do it right. And if you get audited and it's wrong, they come to take the money back. That's how this works. There's a whole section on recoupment. And so looking at this from and I'm not issuing legal advice, but looking at it with my lawyer eyeballs, you know, the infrastructure stuff gets a lot of detailed language in here, and then they kick it out to another set of provisions that are easy to follow for us. So minimizing our risk of having to pay any of this back, I think the water project would be pretty safe, because it's pretty clear, bright line, what we can do, what we can't do. And I think that that's probably one of our single largest items that are eligible for this. You know, there are programs to give people, you know, you can even give cash back to families under certain circumstances, but that's really not how, you know, Harper's Ferry wasn't necessarily impacted in that way.
Correct.
On a large enough scale. And we'd have to gin up the kind of bureaucracy to administer those funds that I don't think we're equipped to do. But yeah, it's actually pretty straightforward on the water, and you're correct, the broadband as well. I'm not sure how far we want to go as a town in broadband or not, but that's.
We talked about it. The new council has had to talk about this because we can meet, because we're not formally in office until July 1st.
Right.
But we've been talking about it because we're right in the middle of this whole thing. Got dropped in our lap just the last few weeks.
Right.
So so we've been talking about it. The broadband. I like what you're saying about, we didn't even think about the waterworks and how broadband, you know, and for cybersecurity purposes, and I think there's something there we didn't even think about that you brought up.
Can I ask what action might be considered today, if any, or is this just an informational?
So a lot of this is just information. We really didn't know how it was coming together, and it's all coming together like really fast. And so it was to get it out in front of us. But the action that I believe we need today is, number one, to recommend to the council that we add to our budget a fund. It will be the fund number will be 73, and it will be called the American Rescue Plan Act 2021. And that is where we will hold that will be on our budget. And then we'll also have a bank account that goes along with that. So that's really the only action I think we need right now, aside from perhaps in conjunction with number 5 and please direct me if I'm misspeaking, you know, perhaps recommending some action to council that we develop some type of a ad hoc committee or something to really focus on making sure we know where we're going with each of these pots of money that we may be receiving, and how we get them and how we justify them and document and all that good stuff. Does that sound?
Yes, and that's exactly what the new council wants to do, is have an ad hoc committee, not a long term, but delving in not only procuring funds, but also the administration of it. Make sure it's
Right.
done right.
Right.
There's a significant amount of compliance here.
Yeah.
And having litigated failures to comply with not this act, but other federal payout programs, and Medicaid overpayment cases and things like that. The things that get you flagged are more screwing up your paperwork than they are funding a project that's in a gray area, if that makes sense.
Yep.
You know, these things are, the practical matter is that this stuff is reviewed by functionaries that don't get paid enough and don't get long enough lunch break. So if all of our stuff looks like what it's supposed to, odds are we're going to sail through and not have any hiccups.
Right.
And so we do need to, if we're going to use these funds, we do need to, need to have a compliance process in place so that we don't, it can't just be Deb.
No.
Thank you.
So
The other thing I thought is, you know, in tying in with the waterworks, where you want an executive administrator, and that could tie in with the town of Harpers Ferry, with someone like who can help with that process.
Sure.
I've got some draft language for a motion. I'm going to
Yep.
read, and if I got it, then I'll actually offer it. But we would recommend the town council to add to the budget a fund number 73, American Rescue Act 2021, with a dedicated bank account to manage any funds.
Okay, that sounds really good. Just change act to plan, please. Comes from, it's actually American Rescue Plan Act 2021, and that's language provided by the auditor's office. So
Okay, well then go ahead and I move. The Budget and Finance recommends the town council to add to the budget a fund called number 73, our line item 73, called the American Rescue Plan Act 2021, with a dedicated bank account to manage any funds.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
No discussion.
Oh, discussion. He's joking. Well, thanks. I forgot. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, good. And this actually helps the next town council to decide. Yeah, so they got an action point now.
So we're on to item 5.
Yes, this is a little more complicated.
I'm sorry, Bill, thank you for doing the reading. That's a dense. Federal Register is dense.
We're gonna talk. We'll be talking to you some more.
I have a lot of background with the Federal Register, so it probably comes easier to me than most. I actually supplied Deb with an annotated copy, so if we get into this more, I have materials for you. But yeah, it's thick, but it's important, and you know we need to get our hands on anything we possibly can to make this an affordable thing to do.
Agreed. Well, thank you. It's
Thank you.
invaluable, the resources.
My pleasure.
Volunteers.
So the last item, discussion action regarding the Jefferson County COVID-19 fund for local towns. The county commissioner, head of the chair of the county commissioner, has spoken with Greg Bond and others in the town, and has asked us to submit soon our wants and needs that fit within the parameters of whatever we want. So it's even beyond infrastructure. And so I spoke with Steve Stoffler.
Oliver.
Huh?
Oliver.
Stoffler. Okay. Stoffler. Yesterday, and he just said submit him the documents. The mayor-elect also has us working on this already to submit all kinds of needs for our town. Because there's supposedly $30 million that they thought that they're going to start distributing.
Okay. Well, I feel like I'm on the way out, but I do applaud the work that you guys are going to do, and I hope you can get as much of that money as you can. Harpers Ferry is often seen as a town that probably doesn't need money, but we're suffering the same challenges as every municipality in terms of degrading infrastructure, and we do help to bring people to Jefferson County that will continue beyond Harpers Ferry into Branson, Charlestown, Shepherdstown, and the communities that make up Jefferson County. So I'm very happy to see that.
You're exactly right, Jay. And I'll tell you, when I was on the COVID task force for the Jefferson County, and we would speak amongst, how you doing, how's the town doing, your town doing, and all. I mean, we were busy. They were not. I mean, it showed me day and night that Harpers Ferry is the draw, is the gateway to this county. But I remember I was talking to the mayor there, and their downtown was quiet while we were busy.
So discussion, but no action on this item.
Yeah, I don't think we have much except to just support an ad hoc committee to get organized about it and get what we need in front of them. Yeah.
I think we could recommend having an ad hoc committee set up.
Okay. And can we include in that also supporting the ARP, the American, the number 4 as well, to make that a combined effort so we're cohesive. If you're going to make a recommendation, if we can put them both together, that would be good.
Please let me know if you guys think I'm overly simplifying, but it's been recommended to the council that I think it's been approved that a committee is created to study our infrastructure needs and make recommendations. This all feels like it's right underneath the umbrella of that group.
The same thing. Yeah, we would collapse the sidewalk thing. And
right. So I feel like as long as that committee can take up, they're basically looking at critical infrastructure needs and getting prepared to hit the pavement with either direct, access to the county or the state or the federal government, or potentially even if there seems like there's a lot of funds out there, bringing on a professional to help assist in grant applications and the like. And that would cover all of these items. So I feel like it could be duplicative. Three additional committees.
Yeah, or Jay, you could even bring up your motion that you brought up in the last budget and finance meeting.
I feel like we approved that.
It's already sitting there. It just never got to the town council.
It did. It was on the last agenda, and basically it was left for the next meeting for the council to discuss approving and appointing people to that committee.
Yeah, that looks like it's going to be those people. So
I don't know that any action to create an ad hoc committee is necessary, because there's going to be a committee that's already in the works that's going to be dealing with these infrastructure issues. Deb, you look puzzled.
I'm just thinking about it in the context of what you're saying. Yeah. I see them working together, but also I just feel like this is such a urgent need that requires some sort of laser focus so that we're cohesive and fitting into that infrastructure long-term plan. and planning. So it doesn't mean that it can't be the same group, but I just feel like we really need to get laser focused on this task. And, it would just be so awesome if we had anything in writing about this Jefferson County Commission stuff that we can dial into and make sure that we're accessing as much as we can.
It seems to me, I agree, in a meeting, it's pressing and it should be something that the council is discussing. But I think that agenda item that was on the last agenda before the council about this committee, the infrastructure study group and committee, should be brought back up, and these items
Okay.
within that as the agenda item, because they all tie together. I think that council can determine if they need to make a subset of that group to focus on pieces of it. But I do think that you need to formulate the committee, and with the chairs of that committee, they can then determine how to chase the different pieces.
Yeah. Well, here's my concern. So we've got to have something in their hands soon. And I did a email already. The council meeting, we missed the council meeting for the commissioners meeting, which is tomorrow. But the next one is the third Thursday. So that's going to be on the 15th. And then their agenda item is due on the 8th. So we don't have much time. That's why I was trying to get something tonight as a motion on this committee or ad hoc committee, so that the town council potentially could meet early in a special meeting to formally approve this committee or this ad hoc committee.
I'm
But
not
it's
in my depth in terms of I don't know that the budget and finance committee is able to create ad hoc committees. It has to be before.
Well, it's what we talked about the meeting before. That's that same agenda item, that same.
Right, that needs to come up and be discussed and moved on in terms of appointing co-chairs of that group. But if there's something that has to happen before that in terms of putting in requests to the county commission meeting.
We don't have the vehicle to do it, Jay. That's the problem until the 12th.
Well, I actually want to suggest that, in fact, you guys do, which is a special meeting.
I know, but yeah, well, but I was thinking if we had something tonight, a motion that said that we're for it, then that's that much sooner for that,
Well, you could do that, or during the readout. I don't know. I'm sorry. I need to see, like, on a paper or what the deadlines are and how this all fits into this waiting
Well,
for the council.
We all do. We all want to know what the deadlines are. And unfortunately, we're just not getting solid answers. Am I wrong, Christian?
That's correct. That's as of yesterday. I was just told, as soon as you can, get us a list and we're going to look at it. And it's like, as soon as you can, what does that mean? I mean, it's like everything's nebulous right now.
Well, the budget and finance committee can put together something, but it has to go to the council before it gets sent to the.
I know, but we don't have a budget and finance committee anymore. After the first on, we have no committee until it's reappointed.
Right.
That's the problem. So we will not be able to do anything until the 12th.
Okay, well, if you want to make a motion to create an ad hoc committee that may be dissolved quickly, potentially its utility, I can't see why that's a bad thing. I just want to prevent confusion when you have all of these potential people who are going to overlap. So that's my 2 cents, and I do want to defer more to Christian, since you'll be continuing on in your capacity.
Yeah, I'll probably be on it, but that's not the real reason I want to do it. It was only just to give the town council, the new town council, instead of waiting to the 12th before they appoint the new budget finance committee and before they meet, who knows how long it's going to take. So I mean, we've got to get a letter or something to them officially.
Do you have a motion that you are prepared to make?
No, I haven't done that.
So some things about this ad hoc committee I think are important to focus on is how we will be getting what kinds of funds, what we will be able to do with them, what we need to do to get funds that are not automatically coming to us, and how we will become compliant. And I believe that it's almost as if I totally understand your logic, Jay, following the kind of almost being a subcommittee of the infrastructure and planning that you were originally talking about, with also the caveat that now with the inclusiveness of specifically water infrastructure that comes out of the American Rescue Plan, that we make it a point to include in this temporary bridge of an ad hoc committee for this money in particular that we didn't know we would be able to tap into, and just till a couple weeks ago, the Water Commission, to make sure that we're capturing and getting the advantage of all that we possibly can. So I agree that it should be a brief interim bridge group until we get our hands around it and we understand compliance and accessibility to the funds, but also a deviation that we include the Water Commission representation in that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so what I've heard you say is that you would suggest that we recommend that the Budget and Finance Committee seeks the council to approve an ad hoc committee with input from the Water Commission that will review how we will get relief funds, how Harper's Ferry will get relief funds, how Harper's Ferry will use those funds, and how Harper's Ferry will be compliant in the spending or the distribution of those funds.
Yeah, I'm down with that. Bill, he's got his hand up.
I don't want to speak out of turn, so I'm not on this committee, but a couple of things. One, from a compliance standpoint, at least at the front end of this, I think it looks better if we get reviewed on any of our spending decisions, if we form a separate committee for managing, an ad hoc committee for wrapping our heads around managing COVID relief funds that we're getting either from the county or from the state or from the federal government. I think that from a appearances standpoint, I think that looks better. And I think that it's because there are other things that we may want to consider in this that are not infrastructure. I think we need to, at the outset, keep that separate. And I guess the way to think of this is we're kind of a part of the transition team here. We're putting together part of a transition team. This is an existing problem for the current administration that's going to require being addressed before the next administration is fully seated and ready to go. And we can't drop the ball in the interim. So I think having an ad hoc committee makes sense on that level. And I'm
Bill, that's really helpful. And I think that the nuances of getting the funds, using the funds, and being in compliance can be under the umbrella of management. So we don't necessarily have to get in the weeds on that. So if we're an ad hoc committee, again, with input from the Water Commission, managing COVID relief funds from the county, state, and federal government, that should cover the broad scope of that.
Right.
Well, then I move that the Budget and Finance Committee recommend to the Town Council the creation of an ad hoc committee to manage COVID relief funds from the Jefferson County, the state of West Virginia, and the federal government.
I think that's, I'll second that. Discussion?
Just to reiterate my point, the details of how to get funds, how to use funds, and how to remain compliant is, we've discussed it, but it does not need to be in the language. But those
Right. We just need something there. So we this is the starting point, like the spark.
Yeah.
Start the whole thing.
Are you thinking of this coming forward? Are you thinking of presenting this idea on the 12th? Or are
No,
you thinking
earlier.
you wanna
Earlier as
try to
possible.
get a special meeting earlier than that? Okay,
Right.
okay.
That's
Gotcha.
mine, but I don't know what the mayor's going to do,
Right.
but I want to give him that option.
Okay. He'll be here on the 1st.
That's- Okay, I see discussion's over, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right.
All
Good.
right, I'm gonna convert Mr. Robinson
Thanks, Bill.
to an attendee. Thank you so much for coming and helping us
Sure.
today.
My pleasure.
All right.
If I'm not mistaken, we've covered all of our items on the agenda.
We're done.
Well, there was number 6 that got added. Extra,
Oh.
yeah, but actually, we're not gonna, yeah.
We're not, that's the disposal of the 2 retired police cars. But we
We don't
don't,
have information.
we don't have enough information.
Okay. Well, then with that in mind, this is my last budget and finance meeting. And I want to thank both of you and Nancy
Yeah.
for just doing great work, and hope you carry it forward. And Deb, thank you. Your diligence and hard work is really appreciated. I think.
Thank you. And it's been a pleasure working with you, and we appreciate your attention to detail and dragging us out and shaking us sometimes. So we all need that. Yeah.
And well, with all of that said, I would recommend the motion to adjourn.
And I second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you,
All
Jay.
right. Thank you.